Going to be doing chapter 12.2, which is integers in the number line. But before we go into this, I want to talk about family numbers. So please remember that you have to take notes of everything that I'm doing here in the same way that if I was doing it on the whiteboard, okay? So last class, we talked about what counting numbers were. And we talk about counting numbers are the first numbers that you learn. And counting numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Agree? These counting numbers are also called natural numbers, okay? Because it's the first type of numbers that you will learn, natural numbers. And in maths, we have a symbol to symbolize natural numbers. And the symbol that we use is like this. It's like an N, but it has like that line before. So every time that you see this symbol, they're referring to natural numbers, okay? Now, the next group that we talk about is whole numbers. So whole numbers are the same as counting numbers, but they include a zero. So whole numbers are the same one, but they go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And it goes forever. So the difference between counting numbers and whole numbers is this important number. And we talked last lesson about how 0 is a very, very, very important concept. And it's not easy to grasp. I told you girls that, for example, Valentina and Matthias, they start counting and they start from 1 onwards. But to get the notion of not having anything is difficult for them to grasp. But we know that 0 is very important because it's a placeholder when we're talking about place values. And we talked about this last lesson when we were saying that, for example, when I have this 10 number, we know that the 0 is holding the place for the units and is saying that there is no units, but we know that the next place value, which is tens, is saying that we have 1 10 and 0 units. So 0 is a very, very, very important concept, and it comes when we talk about whole numbers. And the symbol that we use for whole numbers is a W, but it has this line here, okay? So every time that you see this symbol, you will recognize that this is talking about whole numbers. Now, the next family of numbers that we're going to talk about are integers. And the symbol that we use for integers is a Z, and it has this line over here, okay? Something like this. So that's the symbol for integers. And integers, for me, it's very easy to understand this because it's similar to the word in Spanish, which is enteros. And integers just means all the numbers that are whole, which means that all the numbers that doesn't have a little part, like it doesn't have a fraction, it doesn't have a decimal. And you might be thinking, okay, but it's the same as whole numbers because here I am only having like whole numbers. Yes, but there is something important about integers, and it's that they include negative numbers. Okay? And some of you might be familiar with negative numbers. Maybe you have done a little bit of that in primary school. Others of you haven't. That's okay. We're going to learn it from scratch. So include negative numbers. So it's all the whole numbers, so it will include the 0 as well, but it goes, okay, I'm going to start it. -5, -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And notice what I'm going to do here. Before, I always said and so on, agree? And here I'm going to say the same thing, and so on. But if I do it on this side, if I'm saying here and so on, it also true on the other side. Okay, so this also goes forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, and there is no end, or there is no start to be true to that number line. So it goes forever and ever and ever to the left, and it goes forever and ever and ever and ever to the right. Just let me grab this and highlight this one as well. Wonderful. So this is our first part of our lesson. Good.